أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أظلم ممن منع مساجد الله أن يذكر فيها اسمه وسعى في خرابها أولئك ما كان لهم أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم ولله المشرق والمغرب فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله إن الله واسع عليم. Verse 114 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks a rhetorical question. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ, who can be a greater oppressor? وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ, who can be a greater oppressor, a greater zalim, than who? Than the one who مَنَعَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ أَنْ يُذْكَرَ فِيهَا اسْمُهُ. And that person who prevents the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking place in his masajid. The dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very general, anything that brings a person to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the salah that we pray, that brings us to أقم الصلاة لذكري. Establish salah for the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So salah is a means of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tilawah of Quran means the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The bayans that we say, the speeches that we have, whatever, wa'ad, nasiha, these also fall under dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do we have these speeches? To remind the person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also as what we normally call dhikr of tasbih, still thought, that also falls into this. Yani, who is a greater person than that person who prevents that dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking place in the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the background to this ayah? Mufassirun mentioned different incidents. All of them are correct. One incident that had taken place before Qabla Islam, before Rasulullah had been, before the Risala of the Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was that when the Yahud, they had killed Yahya alayhi salam. Perhaps we have spoken about this before, that the Yahud, they had killed Yahya alayhi salam. So in retaliation to this, the Yahud were in the Bayt al-Maqdis area. They were in Sham, in the Bayt Palestine, if you want to call it. So the Emperor of Rome, he had taken some aid, he had allies with the Emperor of Iraq at that time. They came and to fight the Yahud, to avenge for the death of Yahya alayhi salam. So when they came to Bayt al-Maqdis, it wasn't just, they didn't previously, if you remember last week what we had spoken about, that when there was a debate between the Yahud and the Nasara, and each said that you have no basis. It had became a debate, not of religion, it had become what? A debate of my people, my nation versus your nation. So they didn't come just to avenge the death, but they rather did, they came and they desecrated the Bayt al-Maqdis. So they desecrated the Bayt al-Maqdis. They also killed many Yahud. There was war between them. They had severely damaged the Bayt al-Maqdis. They had desecrated it, and they had left filth, etc., swine, etc., inside the Bayt al-Maqdis. And the Bayt al-Maqdis remained like this all the way until the advent of Rasulullah sallallahu the Risala of Rasulullah sallallahu, and then at the time when Umar he opened and he liberated Palestine, he liberated Sham, and he came and cleaned out the Bayt al-Maqdis. This was what had happened. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one tafsir is referring to that incident. Now how oppressive can you be? Now one is that under the name of what? Taking retaliation to avenge at the name of the Nabi, this is what you end up doing. This is just an excuse they're using. If really it was the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mahabbah for a Nabi, then you wouldn't have ended up desecrating the Bayt al-Maqdis. This is a holy shrine, this is a holy site. So that was one incident. Some Mufassirun mentioned that this ayah refers to. Another is the famous incident of Hudaybiyah that had led to Hudaybiyah when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Sahaba anhum, they intended to make Umrah in the 6th or 7th year of Hijrah, and the Mushrikun did not allow them. They did not allow the Sahaba, the Muslimun, to perform an act which they themselves consider to be correct. And thus the mushrikun, despite being mushrikun, they also used to consider talaq of the bayt. They would let everyone around the area to come and make this umrah and to pay to perform the pilgrimage. But they had stopped the Muslimun and Rasulullah from performing the umrah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah in the first to that incident. And third is that those Yahud who continued to put shukuk and doubt into the hearts of Muslimun. And when Rasulullah he had left, he had made hijrah, he had migrated from Makkah Mukarramah to Al-Madinah al-Munawwarah. So for the first 1.5 years approximately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told Rasulullah to pray towards Baytul Maqdis. So don't make the Kaaba your qibla for right now. For right now, make Baytul Maqdis your qibla. And then after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the ayat that فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Then turn your face and qibla, or when you perform your salah, then turn yourself or face the direction of the Masjid al-Haram. So the Yahud, they would put doubts into the hearts of the Muslims and say, oh, what type of religion can this be? Sometimes Baytul Maqdis, sometimes the Kaaba. If really your religion was correct, then you would take one qibla and you would stick to that. Now the answers to that, we also answered those. But so what this led to is that when they put doubts of this type, that, your qibla is incorrect, what would that lead to? The some who were da'if, some that were da'if iman, they were weak in their iman, they might shake, and it might lead to them not praying salah. If it leads to them not praying salah, that would lead to them not coming to the masjid. So indirectly, this is what preventing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking place where? In the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and more specifically at that time, al-masjid and Dawood. So all three masajid have been referred to in this ayah. This weekend we had the Palestine program, very nice program that we had. They had mentioned that the Bayt al-Maqdis also mentioned in the Quran. So these are some certain places, for example, which is it explicitly, but there is reference to the Bayt al-Maqdis also. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, and under the ayah, all the other masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are also included. That when we read this ayah, then Mufassirun also mentioned that it's not specific to those incidents and they're bygone and they're done. But rather it also refers to anyone that does anything through their action. Anyone that does something through their action, which may cause other attendees, other congregants not to come to the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? This is something very important. And this is something perhaps which is a little more pertinent to us right now. I'm not saying that the three tafsir which you mentioned, that's very pertinent. But I'm saying that perhaps more pertinent to our case for our individual selves, that sometimes we may end up doing certain things which to us may be very simple. Right? To us, I don't care. That's just one of those things I do. But another person, that becomes a means of them what? It becomes a means of their not being able to come to the masjid anymore. Look, this brother does this all the time. It causes me certain difficulty. So we're not saying that there is an excuse for someone else. Every little thing that you can use this as an excuse that I don't have to come to the masjid anymore. But from my side, as far as I can, I should not be a hindrance for anyone else's discomfort. I shouldn't become a means for someone else's discomfort, and which eventually may lead to someone not attending the congregation, not coming to the masjid. So under this ayah, this is also a reminder for us that the adab of the masjid, the etiquettes of the masjid. So if we stick to the etiquettes of the masjid, for example, one thing I will mention, which other people have also told me, please mention this. Everyone has what they want to be said, so inshallah we'll try to cover a few of these things. So for example, in the hadith it comes up a person after they eat onions or they eat garlic, and and they don't cook it, and it's a raw onion and raw garlic, they shouldn't come to the masjid. Why? Because the malaika, they run far from these type of smell. So from this hadith, we understand that when a person comes to the masjid, and also to the ayat of the Quran Kareem, that when you come to the masjid, then خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid. That beautify, adorn yourself, that come in a presentable manner. So perhaps one thing that we can all keep in mind is that sometimes the clothes that we wear and we come to the masjid. Now all of us in our homes, mashallah, we have very nice foods that are being cooked. But those foods are nice being cooked as long as the smell is at home. That's very nice. But what happens is that when you're wearing the same clothes, you walk into the kitchen, now you're coming to the masjid, So everyone you can see, in his house there's Halim today, in his house there's Biryani today, in this person's house there's pizza. You understand? So some brothers have asked me to bring this up. So this is very true. This isn't something which is that I'm making up or which is just for a joke or something of that nature. But this is important. An easy way to do this is that the kurta or the specific clothes that you wear, the jacket that you wear to coming to the masjid, perhaps have that hanging in another place that's maybe a little further away from the kitchen, or then try not to wear that now. Is it always possible? Perhaps not. But as much as possible, to try to remember these type of etiquettes. Then when a person comes to the masjid, that person doesn't speak very loudly. Like inside the area, in the masjid area, we should limit our speaking as much as possible. When this lobby or this hallway area when it was made, this was one of the reasons, right? That if those that we like to come to masjid, we like to meet our community members, and it's obvious that we would like to speak to one another also. Right? It's not expected that Muslims just come to masjid, heads down, we pray, and we walk right out. No, it's also a matter of community building. But then we do have a certain designated area for that. Now, our masjid is a little smaller. The ceilings the ceiling is a little lower. So even if a few people speak, it's whispers. To you, it's whispers, but 10 people whispering becomes what? A loud conversation. So the areas that we have over here, perhaps if we step out, then after that person can speak as much as he wants. So if this can also fall under that if a person is speaking over here, now everyone else, a person wants to do their sunnah or the nafil, or sometimes even fard salah. So this becomes a hindrance, and people get turned off by this and they don't like it. Right? So again, we are becoming someone who prevents and yudhkara that the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being done in the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَسَعَى فِي خَرَابِهَا, that these people, they indulge in they indulge in trying to desecrate the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أُولَٰئِكَ مَا كَانَ لَهُمْ أَن يَدْخُلُوهَا إِلَّا خَائِفِينَ. The correct way to come to the masjid is to come with tawadu', with humility. There's multiple tafsirs to this. One is this, that a person can, the correct way to come into the masjid is with humility. لَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا خِزْيٌ وَلَهُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Those that strive to desecrate and to stop the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being held in it, لَهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا خِزْيٌ, they should have disgrace in the dunya, and in the akhirah, in the hereafter, عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ, a great punishment. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered those Yahud that said that what type of deen is this? Sometimes Bayt al-Maqdis, sometimes the Kaaba, the Masjid al-Haram, stick to one qibla. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. The east and west belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is ibadah? Is that at which point Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever command He gives you, that is ibadah. That if ibadah is that point, that face towards the Bayt al-Maqdis, then that becomes ibadah. If the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is face towards Bayt al-Maqdis, and that's the qibla, now that is the ibadah. If at that point someone is to face the Kaaba, is facing towards the Kaaba, then that's no longer ibadah. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that face the Kaaba, face Masjid al-Haram, now a person prays towards the Bayt al-Maqdis, now this is no longer ibadah. Why? Because the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not there. So that's the simple definition. What constitutes ibadah, what constitutes worship? It doesn't have to be something specific. It is whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. That to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belongs the east and the west. And that in itself is the hikmah, the wisdom for the change of the qibla. That the Yahud and others can understand. That the Kaaba is not being faced, or the Masjid al-Haram is not being faced because there's something within the Kaaba that is out of the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That place is sacred, and it will always be sacred. It is a sacred place, but that it in itself is something which is worshipped. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prove a point. That you're only facing the Qibla, it's only a Qibla, it's a way, it's a place that you're directing your salah towards. That in itself is not the objective. Right? It's just a place that you will face towards whilst you're praying. You're not praying to that thing. Right? So that is the hikmah in it. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes the Qibla from there, so that further emphasizes that point. No, we're not praying towards the Kaaba. Right? Because if really we were worshipping the Kaaba, if the worship of the Kaaba was there, it was the objective, then you wouldn't have been commanded to turn away from it. Right? Because you can't turn away from the objective. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in giving this command to the Sahaba, that turn away from the Kaaba, to Rasulullah turn away from the Kaaba, pray towards Bayt al-Maqdis, Then again, he brought it back to that was to prove this point that the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at which point whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Wherever you face, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands you to face towards that direction, then you will find the countenance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most his ilm, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most knowledgeable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the highest level of knowledge, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowledgeable, and he is wasi', that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all encompassing. Meaning that it doesn't make a difference that you pray towards this direction or that direction, and as long as what it is in accordance to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This ayah doesn't mean that a person says, okay, I can pray wherever I want. No. I say that when the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to pray towards a certain direction, then you pray towards that direction. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most knowledgeable, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wise in the commands that He gives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to say with steadfastness upon the